Don't expect that when you conquer one battle, then you've won the war. Because here's a word to live by. Giants come in stages and in levels.
In fact, in Ecclesiastes 7:14, it says that when times are good, be happy. And when they're not, well, remember that God has made one as well as the other.
You know, Joseph was our example of the stages of difficulty. Think about all the things he went through. First, being jealous, his brothers being jealous, being sold into slavery. Was it Potiphar's wife that lied on him? And then the prison. I mean, things kept happening to him over and over. But each time it happened, he was elevated to a more defined role of authority.
So here's a hit to run with. Look at these difficulties as things that are working for your good. So as you conquer one giant, you should expect to see another.
I mean, you can't get to the next level of elevation without a little turbulence. And as you grow up, you'll go up.
Because you're a giant too. And your position is also coming in stages and levels.
I'm Kim.
And I'm Dr. Newt.
And these are words to live by.
And Dr. Newt.
I think he forgot to say and Dr. Newt.
Yeah, no, I had it on mute.
Hello to all. So as you see, we've got these two cutie beauties right here. These are two of our mini granddaughters. We've got Jayani Akai.
Hi.
And Jada Divine.
Hello.
And they are going to just spend a little time with us this morning on live. I always think it's positive when you're talking about something that you learned as an adult to see what kids, their understanding of it is. So since they were here, I was like, you guys want to go on? You know, they're superstars. They were like, sure.
Sure.
Like, yeah. So, so do you guys want to say anything to the people yet?
Hello.
So, guys, we've been, we've been going through Ron Carpenter's book, and I should have had it out here with me, but I don't. The Necessity of an Enemy, and we're going to continue that. But we had the privilege every year. What is the second year?
Yeah.
Ron Carpenter and it's called the RF Fellowship, the Redemption Leadership Fellowship, has a 1-day max out or a full day leadership intensive training or conference. So we went last year and we went this year.
Yeah.
So we just got back this morning. We just got off the plane. Picked up the grandchildren. Kim has some things to do today with the children at the church. So we didn't want to miss our launch. But my whole point is this. We came from this wonderful conference and you weren't there. So we just want to share some of the things that we learned. There were 5 fabulous folks. I mean, there was Ron Carpenter. There was Dave Martin. There was
Darius Daniels. There was
Pastor Dwayne. What is Dwayne's last name? Johnson.
And then there was Bishop Tudor Bismarck
and John Maxwell.
And don't forget, number 1, Ron Carpenter.
Man, that thing was loaded. Let me tell you, it was all day long.
Oh, they're actually all on the back of my shirt. All of their names.
All day long. It was from 9 in the morning to 5.
We didn't get done till almost 6.
We got done around 6. Mm-hmm. It was nonstop, like 5-minute break in between each person. I mean, of course, we had lunch.
Yeah.
But we wanted to share some stuff with you, just from Dave Martin's.
Yeah, and probably what we'll do, we'll share a little something of Dave's today, and then another day we'll come on because I want to give them a little bit of little pieces of all of it. But yeah, we're going to talk about a little bit we learned from Dave Martin. First of all, he is hilarious. Dave Martin was hilarious. He made us laugh the whole time. I can't even tell you any of his jokes.
I remember one though.
Okay, go ahead.
He said he bought his mother-in-law. Bought his mother-in-law, a grave plot for Christmas. Just that's just what he did. And then the next Christmas came and he didn't buy her anything. And she said, "Well, why'd you buy me anything for Christmas?" He said, well, you didn't use what I bought you last Christmas.
So look, the grands are probably like, what?
Of course, I'm not as good a storyteller as him, but just.
Yeah, so like you didn't die
those kind
and
of jokes,
use that. But he was hilarious. It was fun. We had a great time. We met so many other people there and spent some time with people that we already knew that were friends of ours. So, but yeah, Dave Martin, really good. He's got some books out. I know one of his books is Your Mentality Becomes Your Reality. And then a new book I think he's working on now is the 12 Strengths of a Great.
12 Traits of a Great.
12 Traits of a Great.
That's the one that's out.
Oh, that one's out.
Stuff is coming from.
Okay, so with those, there's that's some of his information from his book. And the cool thing was that he gave us a little bit of it at the conference. And we're going to share some, and then we're going to ask the grandbabies, what do they think he meant by that? Because in this generation, they think and see things a little differently than us. Yeah. So let's find out what their thoughts are.
Smart.
They're smarter. Yeah.
So from the book 12 Greats to the 12 Traits of the Greats. So I'm not exactly sure how he gathered his information.
Yeah.
But he shared with us 3 of them. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna talk about one today.
Yeah.
And that trait is, and I didn't make a lower third. Matter of fact, I need to put our launch lower third up there.
That would be nice.
But I didn't make a lower third for it. I apologize. But let me put the launch up so at least you know who you're listening to. It was growth is not automatic.
Yeah.
You have to choose to grow.
You have to choose to grow.
Growth is not automatic. You have to choose to grow.
Now, somebody may think growth is automatic.
Right.
But he's talking about another level of growth or a different type of growth. And I just thought it was so powerful.
So I'm going to pose the question to you too. So when you hear that, growth is not automatic. You have to choose to grow. What does that
mean to you?
What comes in your mind? Is it a question? I mean, what happens in your head?
I think of like, no one can make you want to grow or get better or practice or anything like that. You have to choose to do that. You have to push yourself to do that, because no one's gonna push you to do something when you should be pushing yourself to do it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
So you were shaking your head.
I was kind of thinking the same thing. Like, you have to try to be better and accomplish goals or push yourself to do stuff. It's not like people can't always help you and push you to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ding ding. Two knockouts for the granddaughters. Good job.
So something he also said behind that. Do you remember this? He said successful people, they get ahead while others are wasting their time.
Mm-hmm.
So the time that others are doing
Whatever.
I wanted to ask them, and I was getting ready to explain it. So he said successful people get ahead while others are wasting time.
What does that mean to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, successful people get ahead while others are
Wasting
So-
time.
wasting time.
Like, people that are trying hard, working hard, and focusing, I guess you could say, on school or something, or on their work, will probably be more successful in that stuff. And other people that may be hanging out with their friends or rather doing something else rather
Okay.
than focusing on their assignments. Then
Okay.
Love that you put it in the school frame. Got any more to add, JJ?
I thought that, like, when you said successful people are getting ahead while others are wasting time, I thought, like, you only have, like, a certain amount of time in your life. And especially when you're a kid and at school, you're supposed to focus on school, because later in life, you'll, like, have all the time in the world to be with your friends and worry about other things. But, like, you have to be focused. Like, when you're focused on school, later in life, you'll be successful and you'll be able to be, like, with your friends all the time.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yes.
I love it. So in other words, don't waste time.
Right.
Because you only have so much time.
And I like what Jada's saying too, and I heard Gianni say it at the end as well, is use your time wisely.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what they're saying. So the time that you're spending, so like here, I'm guilty of this because I like series. I'll get on Netflix or something. I don't really like movies as much. I like the series, but a series has 4 seasons and 12 episodes in each season, and each episode's an hour long. So that's 12 times 4. That's 48 hours of TV, and before I know it, I'm 4 hours in, sitting still. And that's time I could have been doing something productive. That's kind of what you, So
I love it.
So yes. So I'm learning from the mouth of babes, huh?
So there was something else he said. Let me see what the girls think of that. He said, the man who complains about the way the ball bounces probably dropped the ball. The man who complains about the way the ball bounces probably dropped the ball. Girls?
So I kind of think it's basically saying, like, a person who's complaining about a certain thing or doesn't like the way something is, they probably, like, did it to themselves or did, I don't know, like, sort of like that.
Yeah, I like
good.
it.
That's good.
JJ,
That's
what do you think?
I thought about, like, when we said complaining about the way the ball bounces. I started thinking about my brother, honestly, because he'll always complain about, like, how my other little brother is messing with him, but he's the one that started it.
Oh,
That's what I
okay.
think about.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like
good
that.
job, girls. High five to the grandbabies.
When he said that there, and I actually wrote that note down too, but I also wrote so I could know what I meant by it at that time. You ever hear the old saying, who said it, let it?
Whoever smelled it,
Dealt it.
I just need you guys to send some hearts up for my grandbabies. Look, I'm gonna send some hearts for my grandbabies.
So that
I want you
was-
to.
That was the same kind of meeting, so we kind of saw it the same way. Excellent. That's actually an excellent transition into the 3 things that we really wanted to point out today that Dr. Dave said. So he started out by saying there's no I in team.
Right.
You
That was
ever hear
what I
that
was
before?
hoping
There's
to
no
do.
I in team. But if you talk to Kobe Bryant, he'll say, but there's a me in there. There's an me in there. But there's no I in team. But then he said, but there's a lot of I's in the word responsibility. Right? Because what may happen in your life may not always be your fault, but how you respond to it and what you do next and how you move forward is always your responsibility.
Yeah.
Right. So he said there's a lot of I's in responsibility. So let's spell responsibility. What's it?
RESPONSIBILITY.
So there's 3 I's.
I said responsibility.
So there's 3 I's in responsibility, right? So responsibility is pointed back to me 3 times, right?
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about those 3 I's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he gave us 3 good ones.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one he gave us was 1, I cannot blame others.
So
if I'm going to be great, you got to be responsible. So I cannot blame others. What is that?
Well, can I switch it up on you?
Okay, Pop wants to.
Do you guys have a scenario or an experience where either you blame someone else and later and really realize it was on you, or you saw that happening? Someone was transferred. You just said like your little brother. Do you have an example of what that might look like so someone can understand?
Once during the presentation, we were doing like slides, but we each had certain slides to do, and basically I told the 2 boys that were in my group to do 2 slides and I would do the rest. And I did the rest of the slides with my other friend, and they did the 2 slides, but they didn't do it the way I wanted them to do it. So I got mad during the presentation, but then later on I was like, I could have just looked at the slide and been like, oh, you should do it maybe like this or like that. But that was my responsibility.
Oh,
so
okay.
At least try to keep them in check, because it's my grade too. So.
I love that. Now that right there.
Responsibility there is my grade.
My grade too.
And she's responsible for her own grade.
That's cool, JJ.
Excellent.
She took those eyes. JJ, have you ever had that situation similar, or where you blame somebody for something you were kind of?
I can't think of really much right now. But...
Okay.
So let me switch the question up on you then. Or were you going to say something?
No.
Yeah.
You sure? So why do you think it's a good or a bad idea for someone to blame others for things?
Well, I don't think it's a good idea to blame others, but sometimes if you blame others, and then I feel like it makes you realize, like, well, that wasn't, I guess, their fault.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you like think about it, sort of.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like JJ was saying. So once you realize, it's my grade too.
So why is it not a good idea?
Yeah.
Because if you do blame somebody, it may hurt their feelings, or maybe just not make them feel good or whatever. So it's not very kind. But
I don't think it's good to blame others, because like you have to be self-aware. Like that's like just like in groups and like teams. A team is like we all work together. So like it's your responsibility, my responsibility, and the team's responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
So like even though we each have our own responsibilities, we should all have like a group responsibility.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's good to blame others, because if my responsibility is to get the slides done, then my responsibility is to get the slides done. If your responsibility is to maybe fix the grammar or something, then you need to do that too.
Okay.
Got it.
Great job, girls.
Can I follow up on that?
Of course.
So what happens if someone continues to blame others? What do you think will happen to them? Like,
they're never gonna like know how it feels to like, I don't know, like I don't think they're gonna think they ever make mistakes then, because they're always gonna be like, that was not my fault, that's their fault. They're the one that made that mistake.
Wow.
What were you gonna say, Julie?
I also think it'll make them feel like they always have somebody to rely on, maybe, or like, oh, if I don't do the part of the slides, then Jayani will just do it later. It doesn't really matter.
So no growth.
Yeah.
So what happened to them when they become an adult?
They'll never be able to learn from their mistakes. Or like later in life when they're like doing work or something like that, which is more important, they get paid. So like they're doing work or something and they forget to turn in this like big assignment thing, then that's their fault. And then they're gonna be like, well, it's their fault. It's like, it's not. That was your job.
Right,
I'm
right.
paying you to do this.
Okay, there we go.
And then if they don't do it, what could happen?
Fired. Now you don't got a job.
Mm-hmm.
I also feel like what you were talking about earlier about how some people are wasting their time doing other things while others are more successful. I feel like that person that's blaming everything on people, they may not be as successful because they're wasting their time doing something else, and they're like, okay, well, they'll just do the rest so I can go do something else.
Yeah.
Wow, so they blame their own success away.
Wow.
Wow.
That's crazy. That's good.
That's good stuff.
Okay, let's move on to number 2. Number 2 is the 2 of number of the I's is I have created my current circumstances. I have created my current circumstances. What do you think that means, girl?
I think that still goes with the responsibility. Like, it's my job to do that. Like, I'm the reason I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I don't want to say I don't need nobody else, but like, I can't blame my circumstances on everybody else because it's me. It's my life. I control myself, my actions.
You agree with that?
Yeah.
So what if you don't like your circumstances? Like, what if,
It's your job to change it.
Mm.
It's not. I'm not gonna say it's too late, but like, it's never too late to like fix or like grow or like change or
Is that always easy?
No, like, I mean, it's hard to grow. It's hard to like, I mean, it's hard to change and stuff like that. And it's not gonna happen overnight. But I mean, if you push yourself hard enough and like make sure that you're doing what you need to do, then you can always fix those circumstances and get better and grow.
Wow.
As long as you admit to yourself the mistakes that you're making, then I feel like you could grow into like a better person.
You can change.
Wow.
So Jada, just recently you came up with an idea for our youth group to do a theme about changing. Leaves changing, everything's changing, including us. Would you say that this kind of relates to that?
Yes. It's like, I don't really know what to say, but
That's
yes.
okay. Well, yeah, because like I'm listening to what Jayani's saying about it. It's up to you. Can't blame anybody for your current circumstance and things changing. It's your option to change.
Yes. So even adults or children, we all have friends, or we have associates, people around us. So I want to kind of throw that out there. So a lot of times when you're younger, you find yourself in a circle of friends, and everyone's changing, everyone's growing, and sometimes that circle of friends goes sour, right? Now, according to this, I have created my current circumstances. So according to this, I made the choices to get myself into this whatever.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you handle that? Knowing that I can't blame others and knowing that I created these certain current circumstances, whether it's in a set of friends or whether it's a poor decision or, whatever. What do you do?
I would say if, like you're saying, if a group of friends and they're changing, they're not really the same anymore, and you maybe don't want to hang out with them anymore or be a part of the maybe bad stuff they're doing, then I would just like say you need space or something and like try like say, well, guys, I'm going to focus on my schoolwork and all this stuff. You guys can go do what you want, but right now I need to focus on my work. So yeah, just space and stuff like that.
So you were actually verbalizing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Tell them you're making a different decision.
I think I would just like simply just try to like stay a little away until like, since we're all changing, we all like, we're all like going through the same stuff. I mean, for me right now in my friend group, we're all like kind of like spread out a little bit. It's like more people coming in and it's like, it's all spread out. So, I mean, for me, I just try not to like focus on that right now. It's not that important. I mean, of course I want to stay friends with them, but like, I feel like we have other things to worry about than just school. I mean, not school, like friends group.
And I'm glad you said that because that's kind of where I was trying to get to because it's the second I says I have created my current circumstances. So that means it's about my choices, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I just heard you say is I'm going to make a choice
Mm-hmm.
to just stay away, let everything be. I'm not going to try to control that.
Mhm.
I'm going to make choices about my world,
Yeah.
about
Yeah,
what
they
I
both
can
said it.
control.
Yep.
Because that's what's important. That's what I can deal with. I heard you say the same thing. Said you're going to tell them.
Yeah, I'm going to be over here. And then sometimes it works based upon your personality.
Right.
And your friends.
Right. So
that's good.
either way, it's about making a decision.
Mm-hmm. Making a decision, which is so important.
Right.
So see, Dave Martin, even kids understand what you were saying. You got some great points here. So there's one more. The last I in these 3 I traits is I must decide to change. And I think we kind of talked about that a little bit. And just a question I have for you all, is there anything, or maybe in the past year, have you decided to change from a behavior or some things that you would do or things that you thought? Have you made any of those changes? Like, have you made decisions to change? Okay.
I would say maybe my last school year,
Mhm.
I felt like maybe I wasn't trying hard enough.
Okay.
If like I had an assignment and I got an okay grade on it, but you could do like corrections or something, I was like, no, it's fine, it's
Mhm.
whatever. But this year I'm like, okay, actually it does matter. Like I probably should go back to corrections and focus more, take more notes on my work and stuff like that.
Yeah, good. That's a great change.
Yeah.
What about you, Jay?
I've chosen to, like last year, I had a really bad attitude. And I would do that. Like, I would blame everybody else for my bad attitude. Like, I would wake up in the morning, I'm just like, I don't want to be here. It's because I don't want to go to school because my teachers or something like this. Like, it's not anybody else's fault because you don't want to go to school. Like, don't blame it on the people.
Mhm.
And then, like, during the summer, I started, like, noticing that I was just, like, always in a bad mood. So then I fixed it up, and now I'm just, like, I wake up, and it's like, if I'm in a bad mood, then I have to understand that that's not nobody else's fault. I'm not going to take that out on other people. So that's how I think I've changed during this year. Like, I have a better attitude with my teachers and my friends and everybody else. And, like, another thing I would do is whenever I would, like, need help or something like that, I never wanted to say, like, I need help on my work. Right? Can I please get help on this? Because I don't understand. I wouldn't want to say that because I would always think that I would look like, I don't know, not smart or something. And I would just get mad and frustrated at everybody else because I wasn't verbalizing or saying anything about how I needed help or how I felt in the moment. So I would just have a bad attitude all the time. And
wow, that's great. That actually makes me think about the students that I've had. You know, sometimes they misbehave a little bit, and maybe it could have been a little bit about what they didn't know, or they felt uncomfortable about asking for help.
Right,
So hear that, parents? You hear that? That was great. Thanks, girls. Thanks, Jada, for sharing that about knowing that you had more time. You had there was other things you could do to make things better.
Yes.
And so you decided to change from last year to this year, realizing how important it is. And then Jayani taking it from a personal perspective when it comes to her mindset, her attitude, you know, like it's nobody else's fault and I don't have to feel like this, and just making that adjustment. That's amazing, both of you.
So as adults, so we heard some children speak. So since we have some other listeners, so as adults, so that you don't hide behind what these young folks said. So the same things apply in our finances. They apply to our health choices, our food, our physical choices. They apply to our relationships.
Yeah.
You know, they apply to our career choices and our training and what we do to get in position so we can further our career, be more impactful and create a better circumstance, if you will, for our own families.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of point that out a little bit so that we don't get comfortable and hide behind what these two powerful young people are saying, because they're saying some powerful stuff. So your heads are probably nodding like, yeah, but not necessarily turning that lens around and looking at yourself.
So there was something else that Dave Martin said that I thought was really powerful. It's very simple, something you've probably heard before, but when I looked at it, it made me reflect a little bit. He said a to-do list means nothing if you do nothing about it.
Right.
Like imagine just having all these ideas, you know, you who may be very, really creative, you who have opportunities and have, you know, had experiences doing all kinds of things. And then you write this list. I want to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. And then 8 years later, that list is still incomplete. As a matter of fact, nothing's been done on it, you know, and his saying is really simple. It's a great to-do list, but it don't mean anything if you do nothing about it.
Right.
So my suggestion is just start with one thing. Just start with one thing, because you can't blame others. You know, you created your own circumstances and you must decide to change to get something done. So start from the very top of that list and get something done. Newt always says it for the exercises: run, walk, crawl, dance, read, write, study, just do something. And so I'm saying that as this: just do something on that to-do list. Right. Reach one of those goals. I promise you, success begets success. Yes. So if you get one of them done, after a while, it's like, oh, I got this. Right, you know, do you feel like that?
Mm-hmm. And part of kind of remember that another one of the speakers, John Maxwell, he said something. Goodness, we were actually talking about last night. But doing that to-do list and then picking that one thing, and that's cool. But if you just pick that one thing and you do that one thing without a process, without some kind of system, if you will, then you'll do that one thing and there's no guarantee that you'll do the next thing. Right. Because you don't have a system. Oh, okay. You know? Okay. Yeah. So John Maxwell talked about 5 things he does every day. So what did he say? 80 books he wrote? No, 160. Yeah. So something like 35 million copies of books he sold, right? Of his books that he wrote. So I figure he knows a little something about writing books, right? So he said there's 5 things that he does every day. He reads, he thinks, he files, he asks questions, and he writes. Mm-hmm. So every day he does that. So why am I bringing that up? So with Kim saying, you know, pick that one thing. So that's great. But what are those things that you're going to do every day so that you can actually start knocking off things on your to-do list? Mm-hmm. And once that one thing is off, if you keep doing those same things again, then you can go to the next thing. Mm-hmm. So having a system in place. John Maxwell was pretty powerful. Maybe we'll come back another time and share some of his. But there's some more here that Dave Martin that I don't want to miss out on, because he actually did use scripture, Ecclesiastes 10:10, and he said, if an axe is dull and its edge is unsharpened, more strength is needed, but skill will bring success. So when I thought about that, I'm like, we having a regular knife, those of you who in the kitchen that cook, and you take a knife that's dull and you call yourself cutting, it takes more pressure. It takes an angle when you can just use one that's sharpened. So in other words, he was saying, sharpen your tools, sharpen your own tools so that you can be successful. So let me ask them, what does that mean? How do you sharpen your tools?
I would say to work at something and try to make it better and become better at maybe that certain thing.
So give me an example of a thing.
Maybe like a sport.
Okay.
Like if you play basketball.
Okay. What are you doing to make your basketball better now?
I'm going to practice a lot more
and conditioning.
Oh yeah,
that's right. You told me about
strength and conditioning. It's like just getting more fitness, more of that, so I can become better at basketball with running and dribbling, all that sort of stuff.
So it doesn't come automatic?
No, it doesn't. You have to
like you said before.
So you have to choose to do it, huh?
Yes.
All right.
Because I didn't have to do strength and conditioning. It's not required. But because I want to be better at basketball, maybe if you, like you said, sharpen your tools, mm-hmm. you can, do that.
That's so true. Great job.
I was trying to bring it all.
Yeah, they got it though, right?
Yeah.
So Jay, do you know about sharpening your tools? Are you sharpening any tools this year? In and getting rid of that dull edge?
I mean, I think sharpening your tools and being like, focus not so much on what other people are good at, and that's like you're gonna have to like, you know what I mean? Like that's like the doll, because you might not be good at that, but I mean you can get better at it, and you can focus more on that, try to get better at it. But look at your own skills, what you're good at, and work even harder on that, get even better at that, and
Great segue.
you know, like work hard and focus on what you're good at and do that instead and try to be like other people.
Now, Jayani doesn't know, but that was the segue, because the next thing he said was Romans 12:2, telling us not to copy the world or not copy what someone else is doing, but to be, he used metamorpho, which is also metamorphosis, meaning be yourself and come out of that shell of only knowing a little bit and define yourself like that butterfly does, you know, that caterpillar to the butterfly. So in the beginning, you're like, I'm not so good at this. I'm not so sure. But as you continue to sharpen your tool, you develop and you become better. So very good, Jayani. Definitely don't copy what someone else is doing. You don't have to be
Sharpen your
tool is the key. That's good.
Your tool.
Renew your mind. And when they say renew your mind, so think of that word, those words, renew your mind. What do you think that means? Renew. So think of the words renew.
I'm thinking of like the first like read and then like redoing, rethinking, and then renew is like when you make something newer, you think more about it in your mind. Renew your mind. So think more about it and try to change your perspective on something.
That's exactly it.
Love it. So look at it a different way. Okay.
Definitely.
All right.
That's exactly what he was talking
Why do you
about.
think that's important to do? Either one of you, to look at things a different way.
To renew your mind. I think it's important so then that you can, like, when you renew your mind, I'm thinking it's important because you can look at your own perspective and like see like what you think, right? But look at other people's perspective and renew it and like talk about it and like try to figure out where they're coming from. Like I feel like everyone's always changing, everyone's always moving different places, you know, different places you go, you're in a different place, you maybe act different from when you're somewhere else. So when you renew your mind, I feel like for me, when I'm at your house, I'm like renewing my mind. I'm thinking more about different topics. I'm at school, I'm renewing my mind. I'm thinking about all the other kids' topics and my teachers' topics and all that different stuff. And I think it's important to renew your mind and just like open it up to more different perspectives.
That's exactly what that scripture says. Transformed by the renewing of your mind. And that's exactly what you said. Now that's Romans 12. Now that's God's word. And that's what he's saying. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. But don't repeat what the world is doing, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Learning, accepting, opening up your thoughts, realizing the things that are in you and making them, you know, bringing all the gifts that you have to fruition and realize that the things that you have are important.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have your own role in the world.
Yes.
And God put you here for a reason.
So there
That's
you go.
Right.
There you go.
That's the key.
So Jada, do you think that's an easy thing to do?
To renew your mind.
I feel like for some people it may be easy, but for others it may not be as easy because
It's true.
like
Some people are stubborn.
yeah, some people aren't, I guess you could say, willing to change, willing to grow and renew their mind. But others are like, okay, I really want to do this. I want to be different and yeah.
How does the word courage? Oh, sorry.
That's where I was going.
Because he gave us the word courage when he used that.
Trying to go see
he
if
wanted
they
to get it.
See if they were going to bring out the word for us. I was looking for that C word, right? Do you think people can be afraid?
Definitely, because as a lot of people say, change is a big thing. Sometimes change is good, sometimes change is bad. So maybe, yeah, they would be afraid to start and try to change.
Transform, okay. So, go ahead, you brought the courage word out.
No, I just wanted to know, do you think it takes courage? Because he mentioned that word courage.
Change.
You know, And that being courageous can be not just like adventurous, but courageous enough to say, you know what, I'm just going to challenge this thing within me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be courageous enough to deal with this thing within me.
Right. So that
Kind
was
of like
the
what
question.
Jayani was saying earlier.
That was the question I had for you, because does it take more courage to face yourself?
Oh, wow.
Or does it take more courage to face others?
That's a good one. And this is relative because it's going to be based on what you think.
I think it takes more courage to face myself, like, because sometimes, like, I mean, I can talk to others and, like, you know, open my mind up to others and tell people what I think, but, like, to actually sit down with myself and just, like, try to realize what I'm, like, what's going on and, like, how I'm changing and stuff like that, I think that's harder for me because, like, I don't know, I think I'm just, like, I don't know. Sometimes it's hard for me to just open my mind to myself.
Right.
And just realize that I need to like either just like to realize that I need to make a change or like realize that I need to like, you know, actually renew my mind. Or, like, yeah, like I think that's harder to do.
I see you shaking your head. So
I would say myself is harder to like she was saying, sit down and talk to myself, because I feel like your own person is harder to face than other people because you make your decision. Like if somebody else says something maybe not so nice to me, I can be like, oh, I don't really care. Like you could say what you want, but like when it's yourself and you think those things about yourself like all of that, it's harder to
because you're with you.
Yeah,
you know
you're there all the time.
So do you think that gets easier as an adult?
Probably not.
I think it actually probably gets harder.
It does.
Because you're like, I feel like when you're an adult, like me, I'm a kid, so like I'm like I can make mistakes, you know, like I'm just a kid, I'm still learning and stuff like that. But like I feel like some people when they become adults, they're like, okay, well I'm done learning now. It's time to just be an adult, you know, you don't have any time for that no more. So like, but just because you're an adult doesn't mean you're not a human.
Exactly.
Come on in with that one.
Gotta keep learning.
You gotta keep learning.
Need to learn all the time. Like,
yes.
The world's changing, you know, new generations and everything. Like, we're all.
You could have did the conference.
Yeah, they would have loved the conference. They would have been like pumped, like fist pumping out there.
Yes. So he actually said, change takes courage, and then he said, courage is the ability to meet the challenge.
Yes.
The ability to meet the challenge, right? And
no one. Oh, go ahead.
No, finish.
Then he used the quote from, I forget her name. It was the president's wife, I think. No one makes you feel inferior without your consent.
Eleanor Roosevelt.
Meaning nobody can make you feel inferior or belittled or feel within yourself that you're not good enough without your approval. Right. So make sure that you don't approve of anybody. Even if you say nothing back, you don't have to receive it inside. Right. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
He has this last bombshell. I call it a bombshell. The last one. So I want to see what you girls think. He says that thinking is more important than your prayers. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. That was like a bombshell because I'm prayer. I pray. But he said our thinking is more important than our prayer. Why do you think he felt that way? Why would he say thinking is more important than your prayers? Remember, renewing your mind. Remember all the things we just got them talking about.
Thinking is more important than your prayers. I think when he says that, he means like when you're thinking, I'm like thinking is more important than your prayers.
There's no right or wrong answer.
She thinks out loud. So
yeah.
Jamie processes out loud.
Yeah. Sorry, you could go.
It's okay.
So when you pray, what are you doing? Who are you talking to?
God.
So usually,
you're talking to God.
if you're talking to God, you're talking to someone, then you're conveying a message, right?
Yeah.
Or saying it.
I would say it could be sometimes like you need help with something, like you're like, oh my gosh, I've been so stressed, or so something like, what, like, give me a sign, what can I do? How can I make this change or be better?
Okay.
Like that.
So then, who's the person that's talking to God?
Me.
And
Us.
who's the person that needs to renew their mind?
Me. Us.
So how could your thinking be more valuable at some time in your prayer?
Because yeah, I know like you pray and you're talking to God and stuff like that. But while you're talking to God, you're thinking to yourself. You're still talking, and like you're like thinking and praying. And then when you're praying and you're thinking and you're changing yourself. As I think when I'm thinking and I'm talking out loud or talking to God, I'm changing as I'm praying. Like I'm trying to make this kind of like a to-do list. Like in order for me to do this, or in order for me to push myself to go do this, and I have to change. I have to think, and thinking is more important than your prayers, because it's you doing this. You're the one talking.
Right.
It's what you believe.
It's what
about you.
So here's an example. Suppose I have a problem procrastinating. You know what procrastinating means? So suppose I have a problem.
Real quick, don't think we're against praying.
Right.
I just want to. Okay, that's not what we're saying, guys.
You see how it works together.
Yeah.
So suppose I have a problem procrastinating, right? So I go to God and say, God, I keep putting everything off, and I keep missing these opportunities. Nothing's getting done. Other people are doing the things that I've been thinking about doing. I need help, to stop procrastinating. Help me stop procrastinating. So I go to God with that, right? And I say that to God this in the morning. I'm up in the morning, 7:00, and I make that prayer to God, right? 8:30, I'm still dealing with me. I didn't change my thinking, meaning this. At 8:30, I was supposed to have been to the gym at 8:00, but it's 8:30, and I'm doing something else. Next thing you know, it's 2 PM, and I still haven't gone to the gym. And there's 3 other things throughout the day I was supposed to do that I haven't done. And why is that happening? Because I never changed how I'm thinking. I never took the time to talk to Newt and say, Newt, all right, you need to make a schedule. You need to set an alarm. You need to have, you need to know what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, and stop at that time and change to the next thing. I never talked to myself, and I never changed, my processes, what I was thinking about, what I need to do and not
you didn't do your work
throughout the day.
And here's another thing. He gave us the responsibility, response, Bill, IT. And the way I look at this is, God wants to hear your prayers, but a prayer without work, that faith without works, it's dead. So you can have faith that God's going to change me and take away my procrastination. And he's saying, no, I gave you everything in you. It's your response, Bill, IT, to do the things that are in you that I've already given you. And we so often pray and ask God to do all the things that he's already given us the ability to do. Right. So it's our responsibility. So the words of responsibility, courage, what were some of the other key words? And then the I's. What else? Growth. These renew. These are all things that are already in us. And so God is saying although he hears you, he's waiting for you to do something. Right. It's your responsibility. So he's not going to hocus pocus, because as we learned from somebody else, he is he's not a pharaoh. No. What was that he said? He's a shepherd, not a pharaoh. Right. He's a shepherd. He watches over the sheep and he helps the sheep, but he's not a pharaoh. He's not going to make it happen. It's going to be your choice. Right. You have to take that courage. Right. You got to be responsible. So we got to roll off. We're like at 50 minutes. We're over our time. So just recap real fast. To recap real fast, we said growth is not automatic. Mm-hmm. You have to do what? You have to choose to grow, right? And then we said that
in that choice to grow, that means it's my responsibility to do it. And there's 3 I's in responsibility. The first I was, anybody remember? I can't do what to others.
I can't blame
You got it. I cannot blame others, right? That's
Big one.
big one, because now I'm not even looking at me. I'm looking everywhere else. So I don't even have the opportunity to try to change anything, because I'm not even looking
at me.
where
The
it's
thing that
coming
needs
from. Right.
changed.
You know, the second I is I created my current circumstance, right? I created it. I did it. My choices, my decisions, you know, it's whatever's happening right now, I can trace back to something that has to do with me. Even as a child. Now, some things happen to you.
Yeah.
Right. You know, and you can't handle that. But after that thing happens, the very next move is on me.
It's on me.
Right. The very next move. So I created my circumstances. And the next I was, I must decide to do what?
Change.
You got it. So I can't blame others. I need to look at me. Then I need to own what I see when I look at me.
Renew my mind.
And then I need to renew my mind, change my thinking, and make a decision to do something different. Right.
Think.
So that's what we had at. So we'll leave you with this last statement. So we talked about thinking. We all need to think about thinking a lot more.
Yeah.
Right. But here's the deal. Life will not allow you to enjoy more success than you think you deserve.
Whoa.
So you need to think a little bit more about you.
Think about it. Okay, guys, as always, we love you guys coming on the show. Thank you so much. Keep in mind, we're never launching at you, but we're always launching with you.
And remember, you are good ground. And
Everything grows here. All right. See you see you Wednesday. We're back on our book study.
So thank you, Jada.
Thank you, Jayani.
For helping us today. Excellent job. You guys make it a great day.
The choice is yours.
All right. Oh, listen, I'm not ready for you. Here we go.
Don't expect that when you conquer one battle, that you've won the war. Because here's a word to live by. Giants come in stages and in levels.
In fact, in Ecclesiastes 7:14, it says that when times are good, be happy. And when they're not, well, remember that God has made one as well as the other.
You know, Joseph was our example of the stages of difficulty. Think about all the things he went through. First, being jealous, his brothers being jealous, being sold into slavery. Was it Potiphar's wife that lied on him? And then the prison. I mean, things kept happening to him over and over. But each time it happened, he was elevated to a more defined role of authority.
So here's a hit to run with. Look at these difficulties as things that are working for your good. So as you conquer one giant, you should expect to see another.
I mean, you can't get to the next level of elevation without a little turbulence. And as you grow up, you'll go up.
Because you're a giant too. And your position is also coming in stages and levels.
I'm Kim.
And I'm Dr. Newt.
And these are words to live by.